During the decade of the 1930s, while William White was working for all these federal arts agencies, of course, the works that he did for them had to be apolitical and optimistic, but that wasn't all White had to say about that era. And in these pictures, you can see that he's created a series of satirical caricatures, in my opinion, to sort of mock society's inability to care for the least of its own. This one, titled News of the Day, is quintessential White. Here you see a skeletal figure clothed in rags, leaning on a cracked cane, going headfirst into the wind, and a newspaper has blown across his face. And the newspaper screams headlines such as war, bloodshed, air raid, and all those kind of horrible things. There's no context in these pictures other than remnants of kind of apocalyptic landscapes where all of the symbols of social order, churches, schools, courthouses, homes have been destroyed. In this drawing titled The Last Blossom, White was known to have told a friend that he gave this drawing to that if there were just one flower left on earth, someone would come along and cut it down. This drawing was in one of William White's sketchbooks, and it depicts two men just clinging to a bare post on a barren outcropping while figures are blown past them on the background. And again, I think William White is speaking to sort of the inability of people to be grounded and to control their own destinies, just blown by the wind. William White gave this painting to a writer friend of his that also worked in the federal arts projects. It's a little bit different from the ones that we've seen because it's almost like he's created a science fiction type landscape in which this nude figure is trying to survive. There are a couple of outcroppings with little plants on them, but otherwise it's a completely barren landscape. Here we see two examples of landscape paintings by William White. In this first example, he gives us the entire landscape from here as far in the distance as you can see, the rolling hills of northern Newcastle County's Piedmont area. And in the other picture, William White has chosen to give us a driftwood tree stump, if you would call it that, an object that is closely observed and studied without background context. In both of these images, he's using a sort of a large dead tree centrally positioned, and this was a theme that he would use in many of his sketches and drawings. Perhaps he was talking about life cycles of death and decay and rebirth, and perhaps it was a metaphor for his own solitary life. Throughout his lifetime, William White experimented with many different types of media and subject matter, even dabbling in expressions of pure form, as you see in this non-objective painting.
What do you think William White is contributing to this idea that we have about regional art or art in America? What is his legacy?
I actually think he completely changes the discussion. He, grew up in Wilmington, and so he was heir to the Brandywine tradition. You can tell that he was influenced by it, but he charted his own path. He was among the earliest American artists to lift up disenfranchised minorities, everything from African American people to Eastern European coal miners to Mexican copper miners. And he even considered children to be a disenfranchised part of society that were particularly susceptible to poverty and things like that. His work is superior quality, and he deserves critical acclaim, in my opinion.